The Khampa Talavadi. Near to where Ghanshyam lived, there was a pond. On the banks of the pond lived a wise and holy man called Haridas. All day he would sit there, meditating or reading the Ramayana. Often Ghanshyam would visit there with his friends, and they would sit with Haridas while he read them stories from the Ramayana. On one such visit to the pond, the boys were enchanted to see that all the ground was covered with flower blossoms that had fallen from the trees. It was like a beautiful carpet of flowers. The blossoms of kadam and kevada let off a beautiful scent, filling the whole air with fragrance. Happily, the boys began to run and dance on the fragrant carpet of flowers. Then they began to gather the blossoms and thread them together into garlands. When they had finished, the boys began to decorate young Ghanshyam with the strings of flowers. They tied them round his ankles and wrists and strung them round his neck. Ghanshyam stood there smiling. He struck a pose, looking exactly like Lord Krishna. So beautiful he looked that the sage Haridas looked up from his book, entranced by the vision. Even the cows standing in a nearby field stopped their munching and stared. Then Ghanshyam began to whistle softly, in a perfect imitation of Lord Krishna's flute. It was the most beautiful sound in the world. Hearing the sound of the holy cowherd Krishna, the cows became excited and began to move towards Ghanshyam. Seeing the cows rushing towards them, Ghanshyam's friends were frightened and ran to a tree. Hastily, they clambered up into the branches, and Ghanshyam followed them, laughing happily. The cows all gathered round the tree, looking up at the adorable Ghanshyam, mooing loudly. The boys were scared. How would they get down from the tree with all the cows there? Then, smiling gently at the cows, Ghanshyam raised his hands and motioned them to go away. Miraculously, the cows ceased their mooing and began to go back to their field. Relieved, the boys began to clamber down from the tree. It was time to go home. As Ghanshyam descended, a sharp piece of broken branch caught on Ghanshyam and pierced his thigh. It was a deep wound, and Ghanshyam winced in pain as the blood began to flow. Luckily, a group of women were working in the fields nearby. When they saw what had happened, one of them rushed to her village and called a doctor. The doctor came running and began to clean the wound. Then he asked for a bandage to cover it up, so Ghanshyam's friend, Veniram, tore a piece from his shirt and gave it to him. Meanwhile, another of Ghanshyam's friends, Sukhnandan, had rushed to Ghanshyam's house to tell his parents. Anxious, they rushed to the pond. Dharmadev picked Ghanshyam up in his arms, and his mother made a great fuss over him, weeping with worry. Seeing his mother's fears, Ghanshyam said, "Don't worry, Ma. I'm fine. Here, see for yourself." And he pulled the bandage from his leg. Everyone stared at Ghanshyam's leg. They couldn't believe it. There was no wound, no blood. Only the smallest of scars could be faintly seen. Now, Khampa means cut or wound. So after the miracle of Ghanshyam's wound, the pond was named Khampa Talavadi. And that is what it is called even today.